Good morning, classroom family, and welcome to your Thursday, April 16th. I hope that everyone has having a great week so far. And again, remember that we're in our Easter tide. And what I'm bringing you today is your very fifth and final Holy Week reading for the week, which I'll read in just a couple of minutes. But first, I'd like to see how everyone is doing. And I hope that you are doing well, feeling healthy, and keeping up with your work as best as you can. But I also wanted to just remind you to take a little bit of time for yourself, some peace time. So when we talk about being peaceful, it can mean going to a quiet part of your home or somewhere comfortable and maybe just stopping what you're doing and thinking for a while, or saying a little prayer, or even looking out the window. One of my favorite things to do lately, since we've been inside all this time, is to find a window and just look outside. And as I look outside that window, I find myself saying a little prayer or making a wish for the world. So I would like to invite you to come up with a wish for the world. You can share it with me if you like. You don't have to. It can be your own personal wish that you keep in your heart and on your mind. But think about what's happening in the world. Maybe you want to send a little special wish for the people out there who aren't feeling so well, the people in hospitals, the people working in hospitals, or just for all of your friends and family, or for the people you don't see at school any longer. But it would be a nice idea if during your time at home, you take some time to look out into the world and send some good energy out there by making a wish or saying a little prayer. I find that since I've been doing that, it's made me a little calmer and happier. So think about what your wish for our planet is right now. All right, moving on to our fifth and final Holy Week reading. I'm just going to call it up on our computer here. And once again, I'm going to read it to you. And as I always say, you can challenge yourself to fill in the missing vocabulary independently, or you can listen to me in this video and plug it in as you hear me read the story. And the one thing I want to say is that the story gets a lot more happy at this point. I know the last few Holy Week readings have been difficult because they've been sad. They've involved the Last Supper when Jesus had to say goodbye to his friends. They involved his arrest by the guards, his crucifixion, and his death when he was buried in the tomb. But today something very special happens, and it's the reason why we see Easter eggs at Easter time. So now I'm going to read Holy Week reading number 5 for you. Very early on Sunday morning, some of Jesus' friends went to visit the tomb. They were still filled with sorrow over his death. Jesus' friends were surprised to see that there were no guards looking over the tomb. The big stone that covered the entrance of the tomb was gone too. All of a sudden, an angel appeared in a bright light. The angel had very good news to share. Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus. He is not here. He is risen and come back to life. Jesus' friends were so excited about the good news that they went to tell the others about the miracle. And that is why we celebrate with such joy and gratitude, because Jesus has returned to us. And what happens after this is, even though Jesus has come back to life in his resurrection, there are still those who don't believe. And this is an important reminder about faith. You may not see everything, but the true test of faith in God and Jesus is believing, even when you don't necessarily see it. And that's something that I was hoping to talk to you about more in June, when the virtue changes to faithfulness. But we'll get to that in due time. So going back to the idea of the Easter egg, if you remember in our reading, we talked about the tomb that Jesus was in. Well, when his friends went to visit, they found an empty tomb, which is a symbol for the egg, because when you crack an Easter egg open, it's hollow. Or if you think of an Easter egg that's full, there's bright yolk inside, which is like the bright light. So either way, the Easter egg is a powerful symbol because of its connection to this part of the Holy Week reading. That's just a little fact I wanted to share with you. Now, what I'm including in your activities for Thursday and Friday are some additional math and some reading comprehension. But I just want to quickly review the math that we were working on the other day, because our grade ones are going to get the same addition problems, but they're going to get them in the form of a story. That means you'll be reading some words. We've done a little bit of this in class already, but a couple of reminders for you is pay attention to the words in the story. You may not need every little detail in the story, but it might be a good idea to either circle or underline the digits that you're working with in the word problems. But now we're going to go back to our double digit addition. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something you may not have seen before, because the grade 2s will be working on this at some point. So here we go, 32. Let's switch our colors up. So what we've done here is we have moved on to 3 columns. We call this column addition, because you can go on and add as many digits or double digits as you can. Now remember the imaginary line that we often have here, and our ones column and our tens column. This is just something that I'll do now, but after a while, we should master this idea that this is our ones column and this is our tens column. And in this case, we've added a third column and another double digit number. And it's actually easier than you may think, because all you do here is continue adding. So if we start in our ones, which is where we always do, we would add 2 plus 5, giving us a sum of 7. But we won't stop there. We'll go down to the next column, which is 4. And what does that give us? 7 plus 4. Yes, that gives us 11. But I'm going to write 11 over here because you know that we have a little problem now. If we have the double digits, I have to take the one that represents the tens and bring it over to the tens column. So that would come over here, and I can keep my 1 here. And now I would go over to the tens column and continue adding the 3 columns, just like I did in my ones column, including the one that we brought over. So let's do that together. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus another one is 5, and let's not forget the one we brought over from that 11, which gives us a total of 6 for a sum of 61. So the reason I'm showing you this and reminding you is because our grade 2s will move on to some column addition as well. The last and final thing I wanted to mention is that some of you have asked about writing letters. And you know what? Today, we don't write letters as often as we used to, but just like I told you to take some time and look outside your window, make a wish or say a prayer, or just quietly watch what's happening in the world as it's so quiet outside, that same kind of peace is needed when we sit down and we write a letter. It's a really sweet thing to do today, because in our busy world where we get fast messages through electronics and computers and phones, a letter is something really special that someone can carry with them, that they can hold and feel and even smell the paper. So those of you who've asked about writing a letter to me, that would be such a wonderful thing to do, and it would make me so happy during this kind of sad time. So since we're apart, it doesn't mean we don't have to communicate. If you would like to mail me a letter, I'm going to print the address here where you can send that letter. All right, so you can get this down when you have a chance. If you want to say hello or let me know how you are doing, please do so, because I would love to hear from you. So this is the address you can send your letter to me. And please let me know how you're feeling, how your family's feeling, how you're enjoying the work, what you miss most about school. It would really put a big smile on my face to get that letter. So you can send those letters to 120 Homewood Avenue, suite number 1903, Toronto, Ontario, postal code M4Y2J3. So that is it for our video, and I hope the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday, are wonderful ones for you, and that you're enjoying the activities that I'm sending, and cross those fingers, say those prayers, that we're back together in classroom 211 at St. Paul's School as soon as possible. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.